the New York metro area's most eclectic radio station. You're listening to WFDU Teaneck.
89.1. They're playing basketball. We love that basketball. They're playing basketball.
Good morning to all of my listeners out there in Radio Land. Welcome to the Greg Herenda Show. Kenny, I'm going to say one thing and one thing only to you. Get on the line. You are going to run.
I deserve it, Coach. And
You have not been at practice.
I tell you, I learned my lesson from you the first couple of shows we had. I'm not going to make any excuses.
And you know what? Instead of running, let's get down to push-up position.
We're going to do push-ups. You want me to do push-ups now?
Get down. Yeah, absolutely. Right now. No, just get down. I'm just telling you to get down.
Oh,
take
gosh.
the headphones
I got to do it.
off.
I got to take the. I'm going to bring the mic down. You
This
can
is
actually
called.
hear it.
This is called
I'll do
the ward drill. Kill the music. We don't need music now.
Kill the music.
Yeah.
All right. Now I'm going to be out of breath for.
Now in the ward drill, I'm going to tell you how our players do it. You do one push-up, and then you jump up in a defensive stance and hit the wall, and then you do two push-ups, jump up in a defensive stance and hit the wall. I'm just going to have you do ward 2. So you're going to do one push-up, get up, and just hit the table, and then do two push-ups, get up, and hit and I guarantee you will be out of breath doing just 3 total push-ups.
You're probably right. All right.
Okay, ready, position, ward drill.
I'm going to do it.
Coach O'Boyle, I am witnessing it. Go. 1, 2.
Headphones off. Bad or good?
You know
I got a
what?
shot?
I'm impressed. You know what I'm impressed with? Your quickness, and now your face is totally it's Coke can red. But Kenny,
That's the curse of the Irish for you.
you've got to come to practice. Our practices have been going on since October 3rd, and you're my assistant. And if you don't show up, you really don't have, and you can't give people the inside scoop to Fairleigh Dickinson basketball. Is
You're
that
right.
true or not true?
No, you're absolutely right. If I'm going to be here with you going inside FDU Knights basketball, I really ought to get an inside look for myself.
No. You have to.
Have to.
Not ought to. Have to. Because
Have
the genesis of any good program and any good team, whether it's CYO basketball or high school basketball or college basketball at all levels, is practice. That's where your team is formed. That's where the work, the blood, the sweat, and the tears, that's where March, it comes out. It comes out, and it starts in practice. And we have practice. We had our training camp. We have a special guest today, and they went way, way bigger than us, and they went right to a combine. John Calipari now has just about 10 All-Americans at Kentucky, and he's going to platoon each player. So they're going to play almost like the old Dean Smith, the blue and the white team. They'll have 5 players on for X amount of minutes and then 5 players off and 5 players on. It's really curious to see how it's going to work, if he's going to do it for the total year. But they started with a combine, brought the NBA scouts in to their practice. Everyone saw it. My players were watching it. My staff was watching it. Kenny, I'm going to venture to say that you did not watch that as well. Is that correct?
I watched the coverage of it on
Yes.
ESPN, and we spoke about it after at the Sixth Man dinner last Friday.
What's your opinion on the combine and now taking these guys, even before they've made a basket in an NCAA game, putting them in front of professional coaches and scouts? What's your take on that? Then I'll give you mine.
Well, it makes sense based on what you just said with this whole platoon style of basketball that's going to be played down in Kentucky. These guys aren't necessarily going to get all the time that they maybe would have if they played at another school, if they didn't have that much talent. So to give them this opportunity to be seen and to get everything you need, I mean, it's innovative. I mean, it's never been done before.
And I've always, and we'll talk to John in a few minutes, Coach Calipari, I've always been amazed at how he's in front of the age.
Yeah.
He doesn't react to what's going on. He's way out in front. And I think the jury's a little bit out. Personally, I just like freshmen earning their uniform. Bill Bradley did not play freshman. He played freshman basketball. He didn't play varsity as a senior. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lou Alcindor did not play varsity basketball his freshman year. They had to earn it. And now, before they've earned anything, they're getting the accolades of the Spurs and the Knicks and the Heat. And so I'm old school in that respect, but God loved John Calipari. He knows how to promote his program. He knows how to promote his players. And in this case, if you have 10 really good players, and to a lesser extent, we have 10 really good players.
Yeah.
And my philosophy is not a platoon. My philosophy is you get what you deserve, and the minutes will come accordingly. And I'm not guaranteeing anybody minutes. They're going to have to earn it. But that's Coach Cal, and he's been very, very successful. He and I have two things in common, Kenny. His first year at UMass as a Division I coach, he won 10 games. And this past year, he recruited a young man by the name of Towns to go to Kentucky from St. Joe's Metuchen, and I recruited the tough one, the hard one. Marcus Towns came to Fairleigh Dickinson, so we have that in common. Speaking of Coach Cal is going to be really special for me and our listeners out there, and our six-man people were excited. Last week, they didn't think I could get him on when he had to cancel because of some circumstances beyond his control, but I think he's calling in. I think he is going to call in, Kenny.
Probably in the next couple minutes.
And I'm going to ask him if he wants to play. Everyone at the six-man, and you were there, Kenny. Good night.
That was a great night. Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it.
We had it at the Pooch and Still.
The Pooch and Still. There you go.
And everyone just wanted me to ask John Calipari one question, and that question is going to be coming up after the break. Will the Kentucky Wildcats take on the Fairleigh Dickinson Knights? We will find out after this break.
The Greg Herenda Show on WFDU FM is brought to you by Janney Montgomery & Scott, trusted financial advisors. For more information, go to janney.com. That's JANNEY.com.
Welcome back to my team of listeners. Yes, we do. We have the big cat on the Greg Herenda Show. Welcome John Calipari, the head basketball coach of the University of Kentucky Wildcats. John, how you doing today?
Good, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate your time. In Jersey, you got to be a stand-up guy. Last week, we thought we had you on the show, and we didn't. And a lot of people were calling me a fugazi back here in Hackensack that you wouldn't show. But I told everybody this is my guy. We go a long way back, and he will be on. And true to your word, you are on, and we're just very happy to have you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I felt bad I had to miss, but I was going to be in the air when you wanted me on, so I apologize. But
well, not only were you
ready to go, we're ready to go now, though.
I hear you, and you know what? Everyone's just talking about the combine. So you were in the air, and the Wildcats were on the air. After you take a deep breath and digest the combine that you had that was aired live on ESPN, how do you feel the combine went? Did it serve your players and your program, and were you happy with it? What's your feeling?
Yeah, a couple things. People ask why I did it, and I'm going to try to play 10 guys this year.
Yep.
And to be able to do that and have everybody accept that when 9 of them, really 10, are McDonald's All-Americans, meaning every one of them are going to have to share, and does sharing mean I hurt myself? So I had to do something to let them know I got your back.
Yep.
This is not going to hurt you. It's going to help you play in this way.
Yep.
And this combine helped every player. They all helped themselves. And the NBA people that I talked to loved it, how it went. Now, some of them said it was, hey, it was a little scripted and we have to come back. Yeah, it was scripted because it was our combine. But they still saw 3-on-3 and 5-on-5 and things they needed to see, and I think it helped everybody.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. We had practice that morning, and I came back, and our players and our coaches were riveted to it. Just so from a common basketball standpoint, I think people love to get the inside look, and that's what we do here, man. We're the inside look into Fairleigh Dickinson basketball, Kentucky basketball, and college basketball overall. Did any of the players in particular benefit, do you think? Did somebody open their eyes of some of the scouts more than others, or was it just kind of were you allowed to have any contact with those NBA scouts at the combine or thereafter?
Yeah, I did. I talked to the guys, and I still haven't gotten all the reports because I've asked 4 or 5 guys. I want to tell me what everybody's strength was and what they have to improve and what do you want to see from them,
sure,
so that I could go to each individual player and talk to them.
Exactly.
But when you talk about who helped themselves, they didn't know about Trey Lyles and Devin Booker.
Exactly.
They really helped themselves.
Yep.
Carl Towns was even better than they thought, and everybody liked Carl.
Yeah, sure.
But like the twins, Dakari Johnson, their bodies have changed. Willie Colley, skill set, Marcus Lee, they all like Tyler. And the thing they found about with Tyler Eulis, he's 5'9", but he's on a court holding his own, moving people around when there were 4 7-footers, 2 6'10", a 6'8", and 3 6'6s out there with him.
Yeah.
And which is the size of NBA. If he's going to play, he's going to play against big guys.
Hey, John, your guys have always played big, and I go way back watching your team at UMass with Jimmy McCoy, Harper Williams. That might have been your best coaching job of your career. I know that we have a lot of East Coast listeners. Can you talk about UMass and the genesis of your success in that team and how Jimmy McCoy, a kid from Pittsburgh, came and just kind of put UMass and put you on the map?
What we did, I talked to somebody about this the other day. One of the things we tried to do is recruit players whose teams either won the state or finished second in the state. And the reason I did that was because, as you know, everybody was used to losing at UMass.
Yes.
For the decade of the 80s, it was ranked 295 out of 300 programs. I mean, down there with the worst of them. And so now Jimmy McCoy's team finished second in the state. Anton Brown's team won the state.
Right.
Harper Williams' teams won the state. Will Herndon's team finished second in the state. And Tony Barbie's team. When you start talking those guys,
you got winners.
They came in over a 2-year period. They only knew winning. They didn't know like losing. They didn't. You know who they didn't know? They didn't know Temple. All they knew is, okay, the next team we're playing.
That's right.
And so they figured it out, and from that point, we started changing things around. Then you got Lou Rowe, changed things even more. And then you got that big long kid, Marcus Camby. And then all of a sudden, things started changing. But it started with getting guys
winners.
The attitude change.
Hey, John, you took a kid. We have some similarities now. Your first year at Division I coaching, you won 10 games. So did I. This year, we took a player that came from St. Joe's Metuchen. His name is Marcus Towns, and he played with Carl Towns. And they both won the New Jersey State Championship. So there are some similarities, man. And we're trying to grow this program. Any advice to a young coach, well, not a young coach, but to a new coach and a new program that's trying to get this thing turned around? If you want to talk to my players right now, pretend like you're in a locker room, what's the message you give the Fairleigh Dickinson Knights?
Well, this would be, Greg, and you know this, and a great friend of mine told me this early in my career. This is building a staff and building a program. You can have a bad deal with good people. Stuff happens. But you can never have a good deal with bad people. And everything you do has got to be based on, is this a good guy? Does he understand winning? If they won the state, they know they couldn't have done it by themselves. Exactly. They all had to do something. They all had to sacrifice. And then as you're building, the hardest thing to get those guys to do is that understand how bad they need each other to do well.
Exactly.
And so that's the big thing. I just think, again, when you talk, even we try to take all good kids. Now, good kids do stupid things too now. I mean, they don't do stupid stuff. But what you're trying to do is make sure a kid's got a great heart.
That's right.
He's respectful of his parents, his mom, his grandmother. You know, he's respectful.
Yep.
And if they're respectful to that, then they'll respect authority and coaching and all the other stuff that it takes to win.
Hey, John, I know you're busy, but I got a name I got to throw out to you, and you've always been ahead of the cutting edge. And you hired Joel Justice, and he's your coach in charge of analytics. Explain how important he is to your program and how you're going to kind of use him to gain an advantage with points per possession and so forth and so on. I just love hearing about this kid.
Well, again, I did it because I've got to let these kids know I have their back. If a kid who is capable of playing 35 minutes at any program in the country,
Yep.
and he's going to play 21 minutes for us, I got to show him how this works for him.
Gotcha.
So, if he plays 21 minutes, he needs to know how that relates to 34 minutes. Analytically, how does it rate? If he's in the game 20 minutes and there are 15 offensive rebounds and he got 3, 4, 5 of them,
right,
what percentage of offensive rebounds available is he getting? The NBA only cares about that. They don't care about how many. They want to know percentages. They want to know
numbers,
efficiency.
Yeah.
Points per minute, assists per minute. That's what they evaluate.
Now,
they also want to know defensive playmaking. Block shots versus block shots plus steals divided by fouls. If that number is 1 or better, you're
good.
big.
You're good.
If you're a 3, 4, and 5, is your assist-to-turnover ratio 1-to-1? If it is, you got a chance of being a star. If you have 3 assists and 17 turnovers, you will never be a star in that league ever.
That's
so
right.
all these numbers that we're giving them is to say you're more efficient in 21 minutes than you are 35 minutes. You're better off. And the NBA, as I checked with probably 20 of the 30 teams, all 20 said we don't need them to play 30 minutes to know they can play.
Exactly.
We can tell in 20 minutes.
Now, did you tell these guys in their home visits or on-campus visits that you were going to put into effect the platoon system? Or when did you actually let them know that this was going down, and how did they gravitate to it, John?
Well, we didn't know because I didn't know who was staying. I got to adjust every year, Greg. One year I had 6 guys leave. I didn't expect 6 to leave.
Exactly.
And one of them was my point guard, Marcus Teague. I didn't think he'd leave.
Right.
Well, when he left, we were left without a point guard. So what happened? When Nerlens got hurt, we were in the NIT. This year, 4 guys decided to come back. So instead of us having 6, 7 guys that we were playing, now I got to play 10.
Exactly. And
I didn't
how
expect for them to come back, but they did. So
are they
now
happy with it right now? What are they?
Yeah,
what's
they
their
are.
feeling?
But here's my point.
Yep.
So somebody would say, "Well, why do you think you have to play all 10?" Because they all deserve to play.
That's right. Yeah.
And you're okay if I play 7 or 8 as long as your son isn't one of those 2 or 3 sitting out. Then you're not happy.
Exactly.
So we just gotta. Style of play. The offense and defense we're running, how we play pick and rolls, how we play post-ups, every year seems to change based on the personnel we have.
Exactly. Hey, here's the deal, and I know you got to go. You're going all over the country. You're going into practice now. My fans, I had a 6-club man meeting on Friday night, and their one question that they wanted to know from you is, will the Wildcats of Kentucky take on the Knights of Fairleigh Dickinson University this coming year or any time in the future? Can we get a game, John? I'm going on air, public. Can we get a game with the Wildcats?
Yeah, you could come to Lexington. You could go now.
We will come there. We will come. Is that a yes?
You absolutely, you could play us, and
I love it.
You can do that. We have X amount of games that we bring teams in.
Yep.
We're locked into a bunch of games, but no, Greg,
I'll call Coach Robick. John Robick is the guy.
John Robick and say, hey man, we want to come down there and play.
Well,
Rupp Arena, teams want to play us because they all want to say, hey, we played in Rupp Arena.
Yep.
Great arena. when you come in,
Sure.
there'll be 25,000 in the building. Even if it's sleeting out, there'll be 25,000.
Well, I used
and
to
the radio show after the game will have 9,000 people listening.
stand. I
Oh,
used to.
it's crazy.
I lived in Independence, Kentucky. Quick story. I was working for Joby Wright with the Cincinnati stuff, and I had two of my players who Wayne Turner was a great point guard that won, I believe, 2 national championships, and Allen Edwards to dinner at my house. The entire block was waiting for them when I brought them to my house because Kentucky Blue is, just tell me how big Kentucky basketball is in the state or in Lexington to the people back here in Teaneck, Hackensack, Hoboken, and New York City.
Well, the thing that's different here in this state, Louisville has, maybe half of Louisville is still Kentucky fans.
Right.
And outside of Louisville, it's 98%.
Gotcha.
They're just to give you the level. Guys in a hospital bed, the guy next to him, they're on dialysis, and the old guy next to him said something about me or Kentucky, and the other guy whacked him in the face. They're in dialysis. So I mean, it's
That's great.
This is
it's big.
It's not for funsies. Let me say that. It is not for funsies.
Well, you know what? You've
But,
never
hey,
been for funsies. You've been an absolute tremendous coach. I think what you haven't been given credit for, and I know this is going to sound like I'm sucking up to you on air, but how smart you are and how ahead of the game and how you take it to the next level. And I think it pushes all coaches, and your players are pushing our players because we watched it on air the other day. And I thank you for that. I know you started – you went to I think Wilmington to Clarion, and you're an assistant at Pitt or at Kansas, and now you're Big Blue, and I appreciate you.
I was fired by the New Jersey Nets. Let's throw that in
Well,
there.
you know what? I didn't want to bring that up, but that is true, baby. That is true. It's still a very hard job. All these NBA jobs are hard.
Hey, every college job is hard, and every one of us have tough deals. And what I say to all the coaches that ask me, if you make everything about your kids, you'll be fine. If you're making it about what's easier for you
Right.
or your system of play versus who do I have, I think as long as we all make it. Someone said to me, I told my team I'm on an absolute mission this year. I am on a mission.
I love it. I love it.
You know what? People think I'm talking about winning a national title. I'm not. I'm on a mission to get 8 of these players drafted. I'm on a mission to get 8 of these players drafted. And if that happens, that means they came together as a team. That means they developed as individual players. They became their brother's keeper. And for 8 to get drafted, we probably won a chip.
And you know
so
what?
It's kind of working the other way. Worry about them. Do for them. Let them eat first. And if we do, they drag us where we're trying to go.
Hey, can I get a jersey and play for you, man? Seriously.
Listen.
I want to
listen
play
you.
for you. Hey, John.
Hey, Greg.
Yes.
Next year we'll play. We'll play next year. Go get it done. I'll be watching.
You
guys
heard it here
too.
first. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thanks.
John, go to practice. Thank you very much. On the Greg Herenda Show,
ya.
John Calipari, one of the all-time greats. Get your tickets now. The Knights will be going to Lexington, Kentucky. And we'll be back, Kenny O'Boyle. How great was that?
That was just too good to be true, man. You guys are hitting it right off.
That's
man.
what's going on.
That's a conversation right there. You can't get that anywhere else.
You can't. And we'll see you back here after a word from our people. Peace.
Time for your FDU Knights athletic schedule update. Women's volleyball in action today as they travel to Bryant for a conference contest starting at 1 p.m. Women's soccer also at Bryant today. They kick off at 1 and return home to take on Sacred Heart Saturday, October 24th at 7 p.m. Men's soccer in action on the road at Lehigh Tuesday, October 21st for a non-conference contest kickoff at 7. Men's golf in the last regular season event this fall at the Monmouth Quad Match Friday, October 23rd, teeing off at 8 a.m. Women's tennis in their final regular season contest Saturday, October 24th through Monday, October 26th at the NJIT Invitational. Finally, men's and women's cross country in action this Saturday, October 24th at the CCSU Mini Meet, starting at 3 p.m. from New Britain, Connecticut. For up-to-the-minute scores, stories, stats, and video for all your favorite FDU Knights athletics programs, be sure to log on to FDUKnights.com. This has been your FDU Knights Athletic Schedule Update. I'm Kenny O'Boyle.
What's happening? Brother, what's up? This is a big party, man. I can dig it. Solid. Right on. Hey, man, what's your name?
That's what's going on, Kenny. Coach Cal was in the house. He did not disappoint. What are your thoughts?
He was on fire, man.
He really was.
I tell you, that's what I love about this show. There's an obvious relationship between the two of you guys. You're not going to get that. John Calipari talking to Mike Francesa on WFDU, and that's just going to be your standard sports talk radio.
He might fall asleep on that one.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. But absolutely fantastic, Coach. You
Hey, it sounded like the game is. We're going to Lexington.
Oh, that's exciting.
Now, I'm not sure. Hopefully there's a game available. Everyone wants to go to Rupp. My first Final Four as a young coach was Rupp Arena. I saw Villanova upend Georgetown, so upsets do happen in Rupp Arena, and I think we got a game with those guys. And I'm excited. Hopefully my players are excited. It didn't sound like he would take the pedal off the metal either, man. They're going 40 minutes, and the analytics don't lie. So we have to be ready to go out there. But we'll take on anybody. We played Arizona at Arizona. We'll play Kentucky at Kentucky. We're right now we're going to sign a contract with Villanova at Villanova, and I think our schedule tells our fans and our recruits just who we are and where we're going, and we're trying to get to the top of our league. But in order to do that, we're going to test ourselves all throughout the season. What's going on is this coming Saturday is our burgundy and blue. Now, I'm going to put you on one side, the burgundy or the blue, Kenny, and you're going to coach as well.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have a whistle. You're going to be a clipboard. What we do is break up the teams to burgundy and blue, and it's for our 6-man club and our alums to come to the game Saturday at 3 o'clock, October 25th. The doors are open. Our alums and their family and friends sit right on the floor and watch and get an up-close and personal view of the 2014-2015 Fairleigh Dickinson Knights. Can you maybe show up for that?
Oh, I'll be there for that one. No, the burgundy and blue games is always been fun. That's got my name written all over it. When I was a GA working for Sean Morrison, he had me as the hype man for the burgundy and blue game. They put me in a full FDU jumpsuit. I was getting the whole crowd involved.
Lately, you've been more like the Casper Ghost, man. You have not been seen in that building now that you've gotten big on this set.
Well, I think my face is still red from the push-ups in the first segment, Coach.
So we do those war drills from this first segment, Kenny, all the way up to 10 and back down, and it adds up, and it's a drill that I got from Mickey Ward, who was the light heavyweight champion of the world from Lowell, Massachusetts, and I met him once, and I asked him to talk to our team, and he said, no, I don't want to talk to your team, but I'll give you a good drill for these guys. And he told me the drill, and we've done the drill ever since. If you come to my office, Kenny, it's in the Rothman Center. There's a boxing glove signed by Mickey Ward, and we call it the Ward drill, and we got to fight. We got to fight this year. Our practices are going really well. I think the burgundy and blue scrimmage will be a great event. We had the 6-man event that you were at. We just had the coaches clinic yesterday with Coach Steve Lapis was our guest lecturer. So there's a lot going on in our program, and but before you know it, we're going down to St. Joe's. Our first game this year is at St. Joe's. They're going to put up the flag for the Atlantic 10 champions of 2013-14, and then we'll take on the St. Joe's Hawks in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's what's going on. We got a game. We got practice. We saw a combine. And Kenny, we saw you do push-ups.
And we heard from Coach John Calipari. Coach Cal,
and Coach Cal hit it out of the park. I want all my listeners to understand this is the Greg Herenda Show, and we'll see you next Sunday at 8 a.m. Peace.
Let's float down to Peru. In Llama Land, there's a one-man band, and he'll toot his flute for you. Come on, fly.